Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to jump right back into the blouse pattern that I was working on last week. I have got my coffee because it is first thing in the morning and I am going to get some work done today. Yes. So let's get right into it. So I did get a little bit of work done on the sleeve last night. I widened it even further so that it would be even puffier. Well, the first attempt at a sleeve wasn't really puffy at all. So hopefully this version is puffy, and I'm gonna go ahead and try that on and see how it goes. Alright, so if you saw my previous video on the beginning stages of this mock-up, then you saw me talk about this sleeve, which I discussed. I wanted it to be puffy and I wanted to fix it draping into my armpit and possibly take it down in the width down here more. So I went and I tweaked it and made a puffy sleeve on this side. And overall, I'm super excited that it's puffy. Like, I achieved that. And with my final fabric for the blouse, I think it's going to be even puffier because that fabric is stiffer. However, it is still draping into my armpit. For some reason, this fabric here likes to flap over. Even though the seam for this is here, this just kind of covers it and comes forward and just kind of drapes down into my armpit area. I don't understand patterns enough to know why that is happening, so let's just kind of go back to the drawing board and do some more research and tweak it. Okay, so I just did some research and watched a few tutorials on sleeve making and puffy sleeve making, and I've decided to go back and redo or redraft my pattern once again. Now, I do have a legit sleeve pattern from the vest that I did because it was originally a jacket which came with a sleeve. So I think I might actually take that sleeve pattern just as like a base to look at and modify it from there. And with that, I can cut it into quarters kind of vertically and then spread it out and have that do all that stuff to make it puffy. And maybe it'll be a better design and actually fit the armhole better rather than having it kind of wonky and draping in weird places. So I'm going to give it a go. We will see what happens. If you're wondering what this hot mess is, it's because I spilled nail polish remover on the table when I was like 10, and that is why it is now my craft table. Here we have my second attempt at a pattern from a legit pattern, and now I'm going to cut it out of fabric and see how it goes. Alright, so this is the side where I tried my very first attempt at a sleeve, and this is the newest edition of my sleeve where I used a legit pattern and then widened it from there. I am actually pretty happy with the puff on this side. I think it looks really nice and it's not draping into my armpit like the other ones were, so that is something that I'm really happy about. But there's the fact that the whole sleeve is a little big. But I'm not too worried about that right now because I want to try something that I think will incorporate how baggy the sleeve is and make it look nice. I know that sounds really stupid right now, but stick with me. I think I can figure this out. Alright, so with that really baggy sleeve, what I did is I drew a line. My toast is ready. So I drew a line across and then did a gathering stitch. And so now I'm just testing it because I don't want to cut it off in case it doesn't turn out properly. So now I'm just turning that inside out until I reach that gathered seam and gonna try it on. I'm gonna not bother with the other sleeve right now. All right, so you can see here I have that gathered and I really like the way it looks. I think it adds a really nice puffiness, and I think what I'm gonna do is add like a little band here, like a kind of like a cuff, I suppose, so that it kind of narrows and tightens around here, but then it keeps that fluffiness up here. And I really like how this is looking. However, I will say that because I drew the line slightly diagonally, it's getting a little tight in this area. So I do need to take that line down a bit so that it gives a bit more room here. And then I think we can play with adding that band and see how that goes. Alright, I fixed that weird thing that was tugging and I lowered it a bit, and now I'm really happy with how the sleeve is looking. So I'm going to go ahead and add that band to secure it in place and then move on to working on how I want the collar to lie. But I am so very close to the end of this mock-up, which has been a bitch. Alright, so here is that band I was discussing. I have this idea where I'm going to actually connect these with like little hoops and buttons that will match the buttons on the front. So I do need to make it just slightly wider because it's just, it can close, but it's a little tight. But besides that, I am very happy with how it's looking. I think it just kind of cleans up that bottom edge, but I'm super happy with the whole sleeve. And now I can move on to something else. Just ignore this sleeve. I'll fix it eventually. So the final thing I need to work on in this mock-up process is the collar. I'm struggling with the collar a bit just because, one, I obviously am not great at collars. I am a little traumatized by the vest collar, so I am kind of hesitant to start the collar process, but I also don't really know what I want the collar to look like on this. I don't know if I want it to be small or if I want it to be kind of large. I was originally thinking something kind of fun, like a standing collar that had a necktie that went around it, kind of like a men's Regancy style collar and necktie combo deal. But I also wanted to be something that I can make kind of modern. So I think I'm gonna just go ahead and start a collar pattern and just get a base collar pattern situated that works well, and then kind of move along and figure out what exactly I want to do with that collar. Woohoo! All right, so collar is on. Ta-da! And what I like about this collar is that I can actually pull it up and then have a scarf come around and cover that, so that I have a very different kind of era and style, rather than it being folded down. And when it's down, I can put a bow tie or have a different kind of bow around here. So I like that I can kind of jump through eras just by the collar in and of itself. And yeah, we are pretty much, I mean, ignore this. Just, I didn't want to have to do another sleeve because I like the way this one turned out. And I just didn't see a reason for putting another sleeve on the mock-up because it's a mock-up. So as for the collar, I did start with something different where I put the front shoulder pattern and the back shoulder, well, the front and the back, and matched the shoulders together and traced the collar on there. And what I ended up with was something like this. And it did not go well. So what I did instead, just because my brain was like, what if you just did a rectangle? And that's what I did. This is literally just a rectangle of fabric that I sewed the sides together, flipped inside out so that you don't have the raw seams here. And then I sewed it to the bodice and it worked out. And I know this is probably not how I should be doing it, but it did. So sue me. So you remember in the last video when I was like, so hopefully next week I will have a more productive video. So I finished my mock-up. It may not seem like I got a whole lot done in the last couple weeks. However, this has been a big struggle for me because I do not understand patterns, and I have been trying to learn on the go and understand how a 2D pattern works on a 3D figure, and it has been a bit of a headache, to be honest. I'm really proud of what I have been able to achieve with the little knowledge that I have, and I'm really excited to say that I have learned so much in the last few months working on this Obsessed with Plaid series. So if we take a second to talk about the blouse, I originally started trying to copy the shape of a pre-existing blouse that I have, and that obviously didn't work out so well. So then I went ahead and learned how to draft a bodice pattern from measurements. and that worked out beautifully. I only had to tweak it a little bit after that, and it really suited my figure and my measurements, obviously, because it was made for me. So that was a really great thing to learn, and I am proud of myself for pushing myself to actually draw and calculate my own pattern. The next step was the sleeve process. I also tried to draft my own pattern for that, but that didn't work out as great as the bodice pattern. So then I just took the pre-existing legit sleeve pattern from the jacket and worked with that and followed some tutorials and did some research on how to expand that for puffy sleeves, and that did turn out pretty good. But through that process I learned what it takes to make a puffy sleeve and everything that can go wrong when making a puffy sleeve, but also that puffy sleeves can be pretty forgiving. Now finally, with the collar, I really despise collars. I tried drafting it the way that the book says, and it just does not go well for me, and that might be because of the way the neck on the blouse was shaped. Maybe that was off, or because I drafted this whole thing myself, so you know, it could have been a problem with another part of the outfit that was causing problems with the collar, but I ended up just doing a rectangle, and it worked out really nicely. It gives me that kind of Regancy dandy look, but also I can lie it down and have just a standing collar, and it looks really nice, and I can put like a bow tie with it and be done with it. But one of these days I will actually have to learn how to do a legit collar, and I might go back. I think with everything in the Obsessed with Plaid series, when I learn more and gain more knowledge and more skill, then I'll probably come back to it and fix everything that I've done when I know what I'm doing. So in my last video I stated that I was hoping to get my official blouse done in the real fabric, but that did not happen, and I am okay with that because I needed to take the time on this mock-up to figure out what I was doing and make sure that I made it well and to my liking. Had I rushed on this and made something that was okay, I wouldn't have worn it, and then it would have been a waste of fabric and time and money and effort. So for right now, I will bid you adieu. I hope you've enjoyed watching me struggle through this mock-up making process. Also, let me know what you think of me sitting on the ground in front of the window. I usually film in this corner over here, which you can tell gets very dark, so I usually have to turn on all the lights in the house for me to be able to film over there, and honestly the lazy part of me has been enjoying not having to do that, sitting here. So just let me know. I may decide to keep doing this, or I may decide to go back to my bookshelf. We will see. But as for right now, leave a comment below, like this video, or even subscribe. I gotta go edit this so I can upload this video today, hopefully. So stay safe, stay sane, and stay healthy, and I'll see y'all next time.